my pager went off. Yeah, a pager that used to put messages in, you had to read the message. Your house was on fire. My house was on fire that day at the plane crash. So I'm at this big plane crash, my own house is on fire, a dishwasher had caught fire, caught my kitchen on fire. But that's my remembrance of a major plane crash, is that my own house was on fire. Now, out of 154 fatalities, I only saw one body. I saw one human body. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. Green dress, hand up, hand cut off. Other than that, the body was all intact. Where were the other 153 people? Couldn't find them. But we're not here today to talk about big airplanes. We're going to talk about little airplanes. So how many people ever been to a plane crash here? Anybody? 1 or 2, 3 or 4 or 5? Yeah, we got a good dozen and a half. It's never pretty, huh? The one pretty crash that I remember was involving a seaplane. This guy named Sid. Sid was the kind of guy, he had a hairdo that he'd always comb it back. No matter where you saw Sid, that's how you comb that hair. Well, Sid was a pilot. Sid crashed his seaplane, and I remember the day that we rescued him with the fire department. He kept crawling. As the plane would sink in the water, he kept crawling up and up and up and up. When we got there, he was perched on the back tail of the plane, sticking out of the water of 2 foot. But his hair wasn't messed up. That was Sid. Let's learn together about plane crashes. They happen more frequent than what you think. And if you work in the ER, it's just a matter of time before you're going to get this victim brought to you. Okay, so let's discuss it. Let's see if I get this thing to work right. There we go. Bring you in greetings again from the mayor's office. It's a pleasure to be here. Mayday, Mayday, the international distress signal meaning trouble. We use Mayday in fire service. We use Mayday in the military. We use Mayday boating accidents. I mean, we use it a lot. Okay? Well, they definitely use it in midair. If you want to listen to some things, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. If you want to listen to Mayday distress calls, just go to YouTube and type in Mayday distress signals. You'll hear some people screaming till they die. And you'll hear some Mayday, 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 and then they'll give their call letters on the back of the tails of the planes. And then they going down, Mayday, Mayday, going down. And all of a sudden you hear him say, N7653, we recovered, I'm okay. It's like, oh, wow. He thought he was dead. He survived it. It's crazy to listen to. Here in Mississippi, you have 91 airports in Mississippi. You have 4 primary, Columbus, Gulfport, Hattiesburg, Jackson. 3 commercial, Mid-Delta, Meridian, Tupelo. Now, I didn't classify these. This is what's classified with the aviation. 73 general aviation airports, 1 reliever. A reliever is an olive branch. A reliever airport is an airport that, for instance, let's say got something big going on. If lots of planes are coming into Hattiesburg for something, and all of a sudden something happens at Hattiesburg, but you got planes that they can't make it nowhere else, they got to go somewhere, they would send them to the relief airport. And then if there's something else, like let's say there's an emergency landing, they want to take it away from population, they might would send it somewhere like that. And then there's 4 other public classified airports, 6 military, and one of them military ones is the auxiliary airport at Columbus. So Columbus has a Columbus airport and an auxiliary airport. But some of these you didn't even know, some of them, these are all considered airports. But you got to know, there's lots of other places where aircraft lands that are not considered airports, but there's strips and fields and stuff like that. Plus, you got helicopters all over the place. Helicopters in the oil field, the industry, medical helicopters, military helicopters. I hate when I'm flying commercial, going somewhere, and there's air shows going on somewhere. I'm not worried about the air show, airplanes that's in the show. I'm worried about the people that flew their own little private planes to go see the air show, because they like air shows, and they pilots, they fly these small planes. A lot of them fly with like no flight plan, no real flight plan. They're not talking to a tower. There's some places where you land and take off from, in Mississippi, also in Louisiana, you just have to broadcast your flight. So there's nobody to listen to you, you're just kind of talking to yourself. You're going to give them your radio signal number, you tell them where you're taking off from and where you land at. You really ain't nobody listening to you, maybe. You may be talking to yourself. You got to hope that the other person on that other small plane is listening up and paying attention to who's about to land, who's about to take off. So this is pretty much what it looks like. If you've never been in a small airplane, this is what it looks like. You're thinking like it's glamorous, like rich people got an airplane. Shit, it's a tuna fish can with a motor on it. I've been in some nice ones, and then I've been in some trashy ones. And the nice ones that I've been in is really cool. You know, I flew in one. I was telling somebody, I flew from New Orleans to Beaumont, Texas in 28 minutes from New Orleans to Beaumont on an Exxon jet, Exxon company. Little pilot was waiting on me, she took off, boom, 27 minutes later, I land in Beaumont, I get in a limo, I go to the convention center, I speak for 50 minutes, I got in a limo, went back to the plane, flew back to New Orleans, and I was back to New Orleans in less than 3 hours. So I flew, spoke, and flew back in less than 3 hours, and then I managed the Mardi Gras parades that day. So what causes most small plane crashes? I'm going to go through a few things. One is landing gear emergencies. Some of these planes is pretty cool. If the landing gear doesn't come down, they can pump it down. They can make it go down. Lots of times they're not paying attention. Don't even realize that their gear didn't go down. Sometimes one goes down, the other one stays up. Sometimes they both go down partial. Sometimes if there is a tower, they'll tell them to do a flyby so they can look at it. Sometimes they'll say, we'll send another plane to take a look at you. I mean, they try to get through this, but landing gear can create a problem. Lots of this is also caused by people who have an airplane, they don't use it all the time. That airplane sits in hangars or sits at small airports that's not properly maintained and stuff like that. So lots of that is a contributing factor. And sometimes if your landing gear don't go down, you can land these planes. Most small planes, you running most of your fuel up just in case you mess up trying to do this. But you can put it down on its belly, especially if you find the right place to do it. We had one land in New Orleans. He landed in a nice grassy area by a Michoud facility. It's a long levee area. He came down, got his tail down, put the tail down, and just put the belly down on it. It was like he had practiced it a million times. He had never done that before. He had a perfect landing. And then flying lessons. This is often the contributing factor. It's doing flying lessons. There's a very knowledgeable person in that plane teaching somebody else. They're heavily involved in the teaching part of it. Sometimes they stray away from paying attention, and the next thing you know, something else is going wrong that's going to cause them to go down. Also in flying lessons, there's a few things that people like depend on. Like there's a thing called a shaker stick. So if you're not flying right, this thing starts to rattle. Depends on who teaches you. You should never hear that thing rattle. Okay? Other ones say, well, if it rattles, do this. Well, if you teach it right, you should never let them get into that. Right? Those are the kind of things. And then in small planes, you got people that are rigging up all kinds of shit. Or I shouldn't say that. As a professional speaker, I shouldn't say that. But they rig up stuff like stereos, and they got all kind of other stuff going on. They're reading their emails, and they got tablets, and they got movies for the kids. And man, if you flying when the ball game is on, it's nothing for a person to get sidetracked and start watching the ball game. Because it's busy up there. It's busy, but also it gets boring. If you've never flown in a plane, somebody do this for me. Do this for me. You do it too. Everybody do it together. That's what it sounds like. Do it loud. Do it as loud as you can. That's what it feels like. makes you go to sleep. Flying lessons could be an elderly person teaching somebody very young, like in this case, or vice versa. Somebody gets his second wind at my age, 61 years old, wants to take flying lessons. So I got a young person teaching an older person who can't react as fast or think as good or calculate. Look, you got to be good at math. You got to know the weather. There's a whole lot into flying. You can't just get up there and fly on your luck. I remember one time this guy would land his plane hard all the time. And this experienced instructor told him one day, this is what you're doing wrong. And he said, well, that ain't what it says on the computer. He said, well, you know, when you die, I'm going to put a computer in your casket. You know? He said, I'm trying to coach you, tell you, this is how you do it. You know? But he was misunderstanding what they were trying to teach. What else do we know about flying lessons up there? We see underage kids behind the wheel. You're way up there, and it's like, you want to fly? Okay, come on. You can fly. I remember one time I flew on a plane with Jimmy Newfriend. Jimmy boy, he was a good pilot. And he told Buster, you want to fly? Buster said, yeah. He said, pull up here. So Buster pulls up. Jimmy pushes back. The plane goes down. I'm in the back of the plane. You know what I'm doing. When all of a sudden the plane pulls up, Jimmy had controls all the time, but I couldn't see that. All I could see, the way I was sitting, was Buster flying the plane who didn't know how to fly the plane. But climbing around, and I'm part of that problem, we were climbing around up there, we could have easily crashed. So sometimes that kind of stuff goes on. Some new planes are easier to fly than the older planes. Some of the older planes were so simple, they're easier to fly than the new planes. So it just depends on what kind of plane you're in. Here's some other things that we know. Look at the age of the gentleman flying this plane. He gets in, he already may be having a cardiac condition, he might be having a history of seizures, he might suffer with diabetes, have low blood sugar, he may pass out sometime. So he gets behind the plane as a risk. Now, it's not just because of his age, but because of his medical conditions. They don't have a whole lot of rules on you flying, so this could be a contributing factor. Running out of fuel. Now, this is just plumb stupid. Now, I recently had a guy, he lost a big fancy jet in the Lake Pontchartrain of New Orleans. He's only 2 football fields short of the airport, but that's 2 football fields too many. And he said, when we rescued him, he said, I started to get fuel in Lake Charles, Louisiana, but I thought I could make it. You can't, look, you can't play. This is like playing Russian roulette. You can't just pull over and stop somewhere. I mean, when you think you need fuel, you gotta top off. He lost a fancy-ass airplane because it was a silly mistake. And then we had risk because now we got a launch boat, swim, go rescue it, they got fuel in the water, it's a problem. When there's no traffic control tower and nobody to direct you, this is what can happen. This is where the pilot gets ready to take off. See them letters? This is what it would sound like. NA295X, gonna land at, we're not gonna use Gulfport because that's an international headquarters. Let's say just a little strip. We're gonna call it Biloxi Strip. Gonna land at Biloxi Strip. If there's no tower, there's nobody to acknowledge him. So this guy who just gets in the maroon plane, he's just getting ready to take off. He just put his headset on. He missed that announcement. So he's ready to take off. He doesn't even know they got another plane coming in on the same runway he's fixing to take off. One thing I do want all first responders to know, when you get dispatched to airports or fields or strips for a plane that's crashed, you can bet most of the time it's for real. You notice we don't get pranks like that. We might get pranks like person stabbed on Main Street, subject shot on Johnson Street. Normally you don't hear people say there's a plane that crashed on such and such. There was a fake plane crash called in New Orleans one time, to come to find out it was a paramedic that did it. He got his jollies off by lying and full of bull. And we get out on the plane, where the plane was supposed to be, and the police said, how'd y'all get caught? EMS, hydraulic call. EMS, hydraulic call. EMS, we call EMS that. How do you get the call? Jerry Randall's calling in. It's like, Jerry Randall's? He works for us. Yeah, went along, he was arrested. Bad weather, poor visibility. This is the number one cause of small plane crashes, is bad weather, poor visibility. So I know, we got a lot of pilots and nurses and paramedics and EMTs from the helicopter services here today. I want you to know that when a call comes in to transport a patient, air medical, you gotta pay attention to that weather. If there's any doubt, you have to tell them we can't take it. When I was the president of the National EMT Association, the year that I was the president, 2 years that I was the president, I went to Roanoke, Virginia for the National Memorial Service. We memorialized more flight nurses and paramedics than anybody else in the EMS industry. So I want you to know, accidents happen, but when you go in bad weather, poor visibility, you're asking for trouble. So you gotta pay attention to that. And then bird strikes, there's about 13,000 bird strikes a year on aircraft. They can create quite a bit of damage, knocking out windshields and breaking wings and through the windshield, losing cabin pressure on some jets, but forces emergency landings. We've had some helicopter bird crashes like that. A bad one, if you want to look it up, you can look it up in Arkansas. The Baptist Hospital aircraft was hit by a flock of geese, forced them to make an emergency landing. This is pretty funny too, it's like a homework assignment. I'm going to tell you to Google it and look it up. You look up Baptist helicopter landing bird strike, something like that, and you're going to see the Baptist helicopter which landed in front of the XXX porn place in Arkansas. So they got a Baptist helicopter with the porn sign in the background. Good publicity, Baptist, thanks to the bird, Small plane crashes, this is some of the hazards when you pull up. So you pull up with the ambulance, the fire truck, the police car, you got aviation fuel, batteries, battery acid, you got Freon in some for the refrigeration system, sharp metals, some of the plastics, the composites of plastic, it's very, very sharp. The plastic will cut you just as easy as metal. Hydraulic lines and power lines, got to be careful. Most of the aviation fuel is going to be colored, so you can see it so that you know it's not water. Most of it is either blue or green tintish colored gasoline. So you ought to be able to see it, but you'll probably smell it before you ever see it. Now, firemen, you should never smell it, right? A fireman should never be able to smell aviation fuel. Why? You better have your SCBA on, okay? You better have your SCBA on. So this is a plane that was forced to use its ballistic parachute system, and it parachuted the whole plane down to the ground. You guys recognize this plane? This is a very important person on this plane. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Anybody know the incident? So this is the CEO of Walmart who was flying his own plane, and he made an emergency landing. This is after it's safe. That's why these guys don't have any gear on. When they first arrived, they had gear and all on. But he used a ballistic parachute to land his plane on the street in Fayetteville. This is what a ballistic parachute looks like on these small planes. And don't be surprised you get a call for a plane crash, you get there and you see the parachute deployed. There's more and more small planes putting these things on. It is an active factory add-on to some planes. So lots of pilots who have a small plane, it don't take them long to realize, I ought to buy this thing and I ought to put it on. Okay? It's like when you buy a golf cart, it don't take you long to realize you need a cool on it to keep your beer cold. It's like you know to put it on. And then this is what they normally look like. This is a couple of pictures that I wanted to put in here just to show you. This is what a plane crash looks like. They often land on interstates and highways because it's like they know that they can fit on it. They also know that it ought to be pretty smooth unless they landed in Louisiana, then he's taking his life in his own hand. Our roads are terrible, But they try to land, but often this is the result. They do catch on fire and stuff. If you got enough time to play this cool and run out some fuel, that's the best way to do it. But some of them just automatically, when they start going down, they coming down. You can also see all these people here. This is right after it happened. All these people are close. Remember, when you arrive, especially if you're a supervisor, a commander, a chief, something like that, are you taking the responsibility to be in charge? Let's be safe right away. Move those victims. Everybody grab somebody and move them. How many of them are going to have a neck injury? I'd rather have the neck injury than they burst into flames or be involved in the fuel. Move them away, and we'll do the best we can. So how about this? Go back to work and tell this story. Yeah, dude, I was going down I-10 and an airplane hit me. That damn plane was in my way, so I hit him. You can't believe this stuff and we can't make it up. But this is the guy tries to make an emergency landing on the highway. Now that's one thing you don't have no control on. When that thing is landing, shit, anybody in the way, they either got to think fast or they're going to get hit. And then air medical transports. The only thing I want to tell you about this is that the pilot needs to focus on the flying of the airplane and not get involved in that patient care. I know on some helicopters, the patient is right next to the pilot, and often the pilot, while flying, he's also watching or he's involved. But you've got to stay focused on flying the aircraft. If not, nobody's safe. Then on these planes right here, plenty of times what happens on these planes, this just happens to be a pattern that I grabbed for medical transport. Long hours. They flew, they tired, they're trying to get back, they've been going a long time. To make that transport, they often fatigue. Fatigue comes into play. If you're that tired, you got to call in and say, hey, we're going to stay where we are, we're going to stay put. I've already had flight teams in New Orleans call me and say, hey, Bouvier, what's a good place to eat? How can we get there? We're going to stay for a while because we wore out. I'd rather have that helicopter stay sitting on the helipad at Children's Hospital, go eat, rest, get a hotel room, do whatever, and then fly back tomorrow morning rather than put yourself in danger because you're exhausted. Crop dusters, man, Mississippi, you're right here. I mean, and if you're visiting today's conference from the Delta area, you know this better than anybody. These things crash often. Okay? Now these planes, sometimes too, they're very old. And they maintenance plenty times by their own foreign hands. So they don't always have a licensed mechanic or a person that does it all the time working on it. They try to fix it themselves sometimes. And the result is very deadly and very dangerous sometimes. This is what it looks like when they hit. They normally hit hard. You know, you've seen them. If you went anywhere in Mississippi, you've seen it. They pull up to Mr. Power lines. You know, they plant fields near interstates and highways. The power company runs power lines near interstates and highways. So their planes are up and down. Up, make the circle, come back, down. Up, make the circle, come back, down. Up and down, up and down. Don't take long for them to do the same thing. Get sleepy, tired, hot, frustrated, all that comes into play. They normally break apart pretty easy and create a lot of problems. So what's some of the habits of a crop duster? Chemicals.
Power lines.
Yeah, so power lines, chemicals, hydraulics, fuel, all that's there. So this is the pilot of one crop duster. He's done it his whole life. He can fly that plane. His age here, you're looking at his age ain't the problem. He's probably done it so many times, just something probably went wrong. But, you know, he's lucky. He walks away, he's got some injuries, but he walked away. Here's another one. You guys and ladies that are responding to this, you got to be real, real careful because of the insecticide, the pesticide, the organophosphates. Those kind of things can prove to be dangerous and deadly to you too as a responder. So the other day in New Orleans, 3 Coast Guard people, they walked by a container. The next thing you know, one girl goes, the other one says, what's that? handbrake, handbrake, handbrake. And the next thing you know, the other one says, come on over here. And two of them, struggling. And then the third one, he said, I'm burning. 3 of them get exposed while walking just near pesticides. So that's how fast you can become a victim of it. So you gotta be careful. Again, firemen, you should never breathe it. EMS, don't go too close. Now, EMS, y'all listen. Firemen, put your fingers in your ears. Firemen, I don't want y'all to hear this. EMS, look for the fireman. If the firemen are standing up walking around it, you probably can go closer. If the firemen are laying on the ground, don't go no closer.
That's okay, the firemen wait to see what the police officer's doing first.
Right. So the police officer, you know, that's why policemen wear a stripe on their pants. If the stripe is up and down, you can go in. If the stripe is horizontal, don't go no closer. Now, you know we say that jokingly, but ain't you right? You know, many times, the police don't mean that. They just drive in, because that's where they were dispatched to. After they get in, they realize this is an emergency. And they're in trouble, they're now in it. Okay? So I say it jokingly, but you know what? Over my 43 years of teaching and being a medic, people really remember that. They really remember. Watch for the first responders who got there first. If they standing up, they probably can go closer. It's like the cop that smokes next to the gasoline truck. If he's smoking, the vapors can't be too bad yet. It's already on fire. He didn't screw it up. The Cessna is the most popular little airplane that people usually buy. It's easy to fly, easy to instruct, not too expensive, and easy and cost effective to operate. So small plane crashes, this is one that you get a lot in return when you invest in it, when you go to sell it. So it's a good plane. You buy it, you want to get rid of it and get a better one, you sell it, somebody else is going to buy it. You got the better one now. That thing will go through 3, 4, 5, 6 owners sometimes. That's a good deal. Okay? Problem is, not everybody flying that plane is as good as the plane was. Here's those seaplanes around this area, Gulf Coast, southern Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. Lots of seaplanes because of the amount of waterways we got. Plenty of times with these, they make a mistake and land it. When you land this thing, you got to get that pontoon down at the back and then set it down. If you come in and you're not paying attention, you come down nose first, like this, I'll flip it over. We go to a lot of them in Louisiana that are flipped over from the front. These are the ones that will scare the heck out of you. Now, I want to tell you something. That's a very expensive aircraft right there. So where's the battery? Where's the fuel, Chief? Don't know. We don't know. It's kind of like unknown. You might know because you work at an airport. But most people on experimentals, you don't know. We do know that most batteries on these, they put them toward the front. They put it in a distance where they can reach them in case they got to do something with the battery. So normally it's in the front. Lots of fuels is right on the wings, kind of equal it out and give it that balance. But you don't know. Okay? So you think that one's something? How about this one? You know, it's just a matter of time. These things here, it's exactly what they're called. Experimental. They're going to experiment and they're going to screw up and then it's going to be called a what? A plane crash. And then how about this one? You know, I tell a good story about the ultralight. I was on a cruise ship one day leaving New Orleans. We were on the back of the ship enjoying the sunset when all of a sudden one of these comes and he's flying along the cruise ship. And all of the people on the cruise ship that knew him, hey, Louis! Louis! That's our friend Louis! That's Louis! Hey, that's our friend! That's Louis! The next thing you know, 2 military jets got Louis between them. He's in trouble, dude. He's flying along the Mississippi River following a cruise ship, and they got all these rules about terrorist attacks and all this shit. Then now he's got two Navy jets flying on side by side of his little lawnmower. He's on a lawnmower. You got two jets flying side by side. They're gonna force him to land, and then he's in trouble. Okay? Keep coming. Remember, whenever you show up on mutual aid, you're there to help. Nurses, you hear about a school shooting and you go to help, you're there to help. You're not in charge, you're there to help. Paramedic, you're there to help. Fireman, you're there to help. I remember doing Katrina. This guy from California told me he was the incident commander. I said, okay, listen, when the news starts to get on my ass, I'm going to have you talk, okay? Because I'm in charge and I don't know everything, so how are you going to know? But seriously, he came all the way from California. I said, who told you you were in charge? He said, I'm not really sure. Okay. Remember, not everybody can be in charge. Critical, immediate, or rapid is red. Red indicates the patient cannot survive without immediate treatment. It still has a chance of survival. The yellow, moderate, serious, delayed, indicates a patient who requires observation. Possible later can be re-triaged. The condition is serious but might be stable right now. But you know what? If we don't do nothing, they're going to become red. So we got to be thinking. Might not need to go right now, but it needs to go right after. I mean, as soon as we can get him treated, let's get him treated. I don't know if you paid attention when we had that truck go through the crowd in New Orleans on Mardi Gras. The guy who did it, the police pulled him out of the truck, and while they arrested him, one of my guys sticks a green tag on him. So he's going to jail and he's got a green tag on him. Green indicates the patient who's considered to be walking wounded. We wait a little while for transport, but if we don't do something, at some point he's going to probably become a yellow. And then the dead, the black patient who's deceased, intensive injuries so bad that we don't have the resources to work on them right now, probably going to die. Probably we need to focus our attention more on these people. That's considered black. That's the ones that's hard to deal with. You know, the other day, I think it was Monday, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to sit in at the Trauma Center in New Orleans with the doctors and nurses in charge of the Las Vegas shooting. And they said the hardest part of the job that day and night was to tell the family of the loved ones that their family members were dead. And where they made their mistake was the waiting room and unification area was here in the hospital, but they were telling them way down on the other end of the hospital, so they had to walk them long halls, knowing that the family behind them already knew that their family members were dead. So they said if they ever had to do it again, they would put reunification and notification closer together to shorten that walk. If the walk was stressful on who? Who do you think? On the nurses, on the doctors that had to tell them. And then without tarps, people are just everywhere and you don't know who's who. And without vests, you don't know who's who. So here's EMS. We got our names on uniforms, but we now require that you got to have your vest on anytime you work in an MCI. Here with vest, you can tell who's who. There's myself, you know, got helmet, got vest, got radio. You can see who's playing what role. This right here, tarps, we practice it to make sure that we're good at it. Where do we practice in the classroom? You can buy this little kit and play on the table. Red tarp, yellow tarp, green tarp, black tarp. And here's the little people. The little people, you're going to give, we take this group right here. I throw 50 tags right here on the table. Y'all got to start sorting them out. I'll make you sweat. I make people almost cry. They wonder, well, how the hell you know this so well, okay? I can't tell you the secret, but the cards are marked. Only instructors know. When you buy the set, they tell you as the instructor, this is how your set is marked. So from a glance, I can tell, hey, that red one you got there is wrong. It needs to be yellow. How do you know that? Well, the cards are marked, okay? So don't think I'm that smart. I got to read them too. But I tell you what, it's a good training. And let's close, I want to tell you, this is what the tags look like. 40-year-old male, decreased level of consciousness, GCS of 13, confused right-sided head pain, right-sided shoulder pain, right hip pain, blood pressure 162 over 98, heart rate 122, respiration 24. What color would you triage this person? He's a red, automatic. Plus, I told you the answer. Look at that big old red right there. You got to set up a command structure, you got to have operations, you want to have rescue and extrication, and then you want to have your triage areas. So you got to have some command structure, if not, it's going to be chaotic. You want to use the triage tags, you want to use tarps, you want to make sure you got some organization, you want to use those vests. Thanks to the great state of Mississippi, y'all changed the way we do this. We don't no longer say A, B, C, and D. We now say Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. That's thanks to Mississippi. Because Mississippi, they used to say A, they, say, they, all sound alike. And they said, all right, we got to change this. So now we say Alpha, Bravo, Delta, Charlie. So if we was going to set up an emergency scene, we want to set it up clockwise. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Charlie's always in the back. On a plane crash like this, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. This is a bad old plane crash right here. Glow sticks. I'm going to close by telling you what we done in New Orleans. So we went to putting glow sticks in all of our command pockets. Plus we have vests with high-vis, real reflective vests. And we have helmets with reflective shields on it, with our name on it and our number on it. Because we had a 40-car pileup in New Orleans one night, in the fall. It was so foggy, we could not see from one car to the other. So I checked the first car, and then I went to the second car, then I went to the third car, and then the next medic showed up. He went to the first car, and the second car, and the third car. Then the third medic showed up, then a Canadian showed up, and then another medic showed up, then the fireman showed up. They figured that each car was checked probably maybe 20 times. So we went to glow sticks. We put a red stick on you and a yellow stick on you, and I put a red tag on you and a yellow tag on you. And then when we take you out the car to transport you, we break a white glow stick and put it in the car. It tells the medics this car's been checked. This car has been checked. And then at our plane crash, we put in our plane crash procedure to do the same way. We go onto the plane if we can get onto the plane. I'll mark you red, I'll mark you yellow, I'll mark you green. I'll put a glow stick on you. After everybody's out the plane, at the door, white glow stick tells everybody else, no need to go back in the plane, everybody's out. So glow sticks cost us a little bit of money, but you know what? Works. Also, after that big car crash, we put these boards in every command vehicle in New Orleans. So there's 18 vehicles in New Orleans, like the command boards. Our helmets have our name, our rank, our radio number, and our name on it. You can no longer say, I don't know who told me. Okay? That was a big complaint after the crash. I was told to do something, and I don't know who told me. So if you don't have your names on your helmets and stuff like that, do it. In the disaster at your hospital, nurses, listen to me well. So what if you ruin a set of scrubs? If you don't have a name or what role you're playing, look, you got a shooting. We're bringing you 27 victims. Take your scrubs and just take a mark slide and write on there, charge nurse. On your, that way we'll know who you are. Write it on your back, charge nurse, if you don't have a vest. You're supposed to have those vests to meet their accreditation criteria. If you can't find a vest, a mark slide works great. You know? CEO of a hospital, financial officer, whatever you are, write your title. Okay? Helicopter medics back there, your helmets. I know y'all got certain rules on your helmets and all. Your name is important when you go to big disasters so people know who they answer to, who they work with. So if you don't have a name up there, you might want to think about that. It's a good lesson learned. Let me tell you what else we've done on our helmet. We have where we can put a green glow stick on the front and a red stick on the back. You can tell at a big disaster at night if I'm walking towards you or if I'm walking away from you. We also have them on our water rescue helmets the same way. We glued a piece of PVC pipe that fits a glow stick on the back in front of our helmets. We put a glow stick and a glow stick. So you look like a birthday cake swimming. But I can swim towards you and I can swim away from you and you'll see me. And then these trucks. We found out that our incidents that night that our trucks, when they close together, it didn't know what Wi-Fi it wanted to be on. So we had to put cutoff switches on our trucks. Now we decide whose truck we're working off. Going to work off of yours, Pat? Turn yours off, turn yours off. So that way we got one Wi-Fi instead of trying to connect to 3 different Wi-Fis. And then we also learned that at night, your board, your command board, if you don't have flashlights and good lighting, you can't see what you're planning for. So you got all these maps and stuff, but no lighting, you don't know what you're going to be doing. So gotta have good lighting. Questions? All right, well, let me tell you something. I'm leaving, I'm going to stay a little while for this evening's party, but other than that, I'll be cutting out tonight. I got to be in Connecticut tomorrow morning. I want to thank you for inviting me. Until I see you again, God bless you. God bless America. Thanks.